Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to this new series that we are starting. It's called Openings for White according to Vidit Gujrathi. Now, you might be thinking, where is Vidit? Well, he's not here, right? But the main point of this series is to learn from his games and to build an opening repertoire. He is one of India's top players. He's an amazing chess player. He has a wonderful opening repertoire. I really love it. The way he plays chess, his positional approach. And so I decided to start this series, which is kind of inspired by a series of books. Does anyone remember Opening for White according to Alexander Khalifman? Openings for White according to Anand, which was written by Khalifman. And he was inspired by the games of Vishy Anand, and he did this. Everyone saying clickbait, clickbait. Dude, guys, anyway, if you read the description, it was written there. So I would say that you guys have not done your homework. And it is not clickbait because it is according to Vidit and his games. So that is how we will do it with other colors also. And let's begin. There is a timer here that I wanted to post, and at the same time I'm going to take you through the entire process of how we do it. So let's go and let's begin. For all those who are keen, please do, we'll interact, and I will also try to later on build this and share the files with you so that you can use. Okay, so let's start. So this is the ChessBase software, and let me start the timer because I want to keep it like very crisp, and we should build this up. So today the first, and we'll finish it in 1 hour. So today the first thing that we want to do is have with white pieces. And if we go here to the mega database and we go to players, we see that if we write the name of Vidit, we have 1993 games of him. Okay, so if I then click here and say prepare against white, right, because he would be white, then we have this all the games that come up here. What is the main move that Vidit plays? Can anyone tell me? Let's focus on chess, right? Because this can be very useful for you to improve. I think the latest games, as we can see here, are the games of the Grand Prix are still missing, but they are there till Feb 2022. Okay, not bad. So yes, let's see if you guys know Vidit well. Does this work or not? Yeah, it works. So D4 is the correct answer, and so many of you have found this. Rishabh, Akshay Mohan, Sahil Khan, Manas Chaudhary, Kshitij Taneja, Hitanshu Kandpal, Sumir Tyagi, Ritik Singh, Nobita, and Sudhanshu Tripathi. So Vidit likes to play D4 in his game. So and by the way, the software that I'm using for all of this preparation, like all top players, is ChessBase 16. So D4 is what he plays. Now the major response that Vidit faces here, second, after D4, the major response that he faces is knight F6. So we are going to look at knight F6, right? The second most important one is D5 that he faces a lot from opponents from black. The third, so if you see, like the major is knight F6 and the second one is D5. These two, almost everything is covered. Few people play d6 with him. Few, very few. A very few of them also play g6 here. And some of them play e6. And there is also f5. Does anyone know what f5 is called? Anyone here? Guys, f5 क्या है? Which opening is f5? Yes, Manas Chaudhary is very quick. Siddesh, you are right. Yashad, Bichiwaza, Alishan Ali, Akshay Mohan, Rachit Mittal. It is called the Dutch defense. Correct. This is known as the Dutch defense. So this is one more line that he faces, but not so much. And then Rapport had once played knight c6 with him. But let's, oh, this crow is making my life miserable. It feels like lockdown 2020 when that crow was there. I was doing improving chess. It's like deja vu all over again. Yeah. So let's start with knight f6 first. Vidit 397 games has gone c4. So we will stick with his main move c4. And now he has faced e6 as one of the main lines here. And also he has faced g6 a lot. So these are the two main moves. If we look at our here, g6 in 117 games, e6 in 256 games. So let's say he goes e6 here. Now I want to discuss with you as to what would be the approach that we should take here, because it's a critical moment. Should we go knight f3 or should we go knight c3, allowing the Nimzo-Indian? And if you look at Vidit's way that he has played almost both. He's also played g3. So here is a choice for us to make. What should we decide to play? Should we allow the Nimzo-Indian? Should we not allow the Nimzo-Indian? Should we continue with knight f3? Yeah, if we go knight f3, then more chances of, let's say, there is an addition of b6, which is Queen's Indian. There is also bishop b4, Bogo Indian. And of course, they can transpose back to d5, which is the Queen's Gambit declined. What I would do, and I think we should take this decision, is go knight c3, right? Let's go, because Vidit likes to play for a win. Whenever he's in a must-win situation, he has gone knight c3. So let's look at his games for knight c3. In case we don't like this at some point, we will go for knight f3. Do you want the board to be bigger? Okay, let me do that. By the way, I'm just sharing my screen directly. I used to do that before. Now I have two screens set up, very nice. So is this good? So now knight c3, bishop b4 main move here. Some players might go for d5 as well here. This is something which we should look at some point. It transposes, but it goes into Queen's Gambit declined, and it can also happen from d4 d5 move order. So d4 d5, c4 e6, knight c3, knight f6. This move order we will anyway go into this territory. So let's go to knight f6, c4 e6, knight c3, and now bishop b4. Here is another choice we have to make. Vidit loves to play queen c2 here, and also he loves to play f3 in a must-win games. So what should we choose? Let's ask the viewers. Queen c2. He also plays e3, by the way. So there is also f3, e3 or queen c2? What's your choice? I mean, there are many possibilities here which we might have to navigate if whatever move we choose. Let's see, but what you guys want. So the main move you want is queen c2, and then there are also f3 is suggested by a few few of you. Okay, I'll just make sure that this yeah, this board here is this one, so you can see the board also here. Okay, so I'll kind of, what we'll do is we'll try to be a little more thorough here, and we will try to prepare queen c2 as one of our main lines, right? And we will also prepare f3 as one of the additional weapons, as a fighting weapon. In fact, recently Vidit also played this, and he played it at the Champions Chess Tour. I think those games have to yet be added in the database. But remember, does anyone remember against whom he had this line? c5, d5, ed, cd, d6, e4, and so on. No, not Fedosiv. It was against no, he lost that game. It was yes, Eric Hansen, Sasta Nasha, you're right. It was against Eric Hansen that this happened. So we will look at f3 as one of the lines, but queen c2 is the direction we will choose for Nimzo. Is that good? Yes, he had beaten Kramnik earlier with f3. So this is definitely something we should learn from it. So what we are doing is we are kind of building up one solid move, queen c2, and we are building up one aggressive option with f3. So because Nimzo-Indian you will face a lot. Okay. The other option here that he has, so c4, e6, knight c3, bishop d4. I think that covers Nimzo-Indian, where, I mean, the direction in which every opening will have a dedicated one session that we will do, and we'll try to learn. Let's go at g6. Okay, it's an important move, and I think we should stick with its main move here, knight to c3. And now there are two main options. Can you tell me which two main openings come from this position, guys? Sarthak Srivastav says we will be only going through d4 today. Well, mainly Vidit is a d4 player, so we will look at it. But yeah, I mean, we'll also can look at e4 at some point. What is his repertoire to e4? Maybe dedicate a few sessions to that as well. Yes, the main is Gruenfeld and King's Indian, Manas Chaudhary, Safal Fazil, Laughable Orc, Chandrabhan Mishra, right? And this is how. So let's say we look at d5, which is the Gruenfeld, which is one of the main lines. And here, if we look at Vidit, he has scored heavily, 76.9% with knight f3. Although his main move is cd5, and he is supposed to be one of the most well prepared players against the Gruenfeld. So here we have to put some thought as to which line we should go for. He was playing this line before, but now no longer. So here is one weapon which he has used a lot, which is queen b3. And if you see, he has been unbeaten in these lines. Wow, that is something. He's beaten Volokitin, Khusnudinov, Artemiev, Padmini, and Rajesh. But recently he hasn't been playing this. We can definitely spend some time, I think, in this system. But I don't know if this is something, this is a very complicated line. So the other option that we can look at here is this main move, which is c takes d5, and I make this the main line. Knight d5, e4. He's played 20 games. He's played 2 games bishop d2, but that was in 2010 when he was like a 16-year-old. e4, knight c3, bc3, bishop g7. And now the main line for Vidit until 2020 was bishop e3. Then he started playing knight f3 also, and there is also queen a4. So let's stick with bishop e3 here, which is his main move. And you will see that once again he is undefeated in this line. Wow. So we'll go through these lines. In fact, he's also beaten Marcus Rager here. So c5. His main move here has been knight f3. Amazing, yeah, that he scored so heavily. Queen a5, queen d2. And then there are 2 moves. So this will be our main weapon against the Gruenfeld. We will make this into a nice, I'll put it into a nice board and all later. But does everyone like this? Samarth says all these lines with d4 reminds me of the stream with Armin. Yeah, exactly. We had done once with Yuhas Armin. Somansh says queen b3 in bishop b4 line is also possible. You mean in the Nimzo queen b3, but it's not one of the main lines. Like c5 and black does pretty okay. Yeah, this looks good. Everyone's like, okay, fine, this is good. So we will study this in more depth. Let's go to his King's Indian. What is his idea against the King's Indian here? So Vidit actually has 2 weapons against the King's Indian. One, he likes to play e4, d6, and then he's gone knight f3 also, the main line, but he's also gone f3 here. I think we will avoid this because I know for a fact that Vidit loves to play g3 systems against the King's Indian. So let's stick with that. The additional problem we will face is if they go d5 here. But I think we might get some ideas from Vidit's games as well, like bishop g2, about what to do here. He's played 3 games in this position. Take. So this is one line which we may have to consider, because with e4 we don't have to worry about Gruenfeld, but the moment we go g3, this comes into the picture. Oh, but we don't have to worry about the sort of solid line because there we have e4 here already. So then we don't have to worry about this bishop g2 stuff and d5, which is the solid system that black gets. c6, d5, it's supposed to be one of the most solid systems against the d4 lines when you pick the Gruenfeld. So let's say g3, main move here has been castles, bishop g2, now d5 no longer possible, so d6 is what Geeked Artist says. Sagar, can g3 system be tackled with c5 break? Possible, Geeked Artist, but where? Like here, maybe if you play say castles, bishop g2 and c5, there have been 3 games that have been played here, and Vidit has always preferred to take on c5, not gone into what is this territory, guys? What territory is this after d5? Does anyone know? This is like an important structure. Benoni, right? Vedant Srivastav, Arav Arora, Tarun, Chandrabhan, Manas Chaudhary, Geeked Artist, Jugal Mehta, Safal Fazil. Very good. This is known as the Benoni. So you must, like c5, he has gone dc5. We'll cover this. So good suggestion here by who was the one who said this? c5. Yeah, Geeked Artist. Good suggestion. Very good. So dc5, queen a5, and then here he's played queen a4. So we will look at these games later. The main move by far is d6. We have many games, 33 games, which is surprising, and I think the reason for that is d4. I think Vidit might have opted for a different move order to reach here, because c4 g6, c4 g6. Oh, he's gone 48 games g3. So we can actually, I mean, we are going knight c3 here, but actually g3 is not a bad idea. But here we will have to face this move c6, which many people play if we try for this move order. Also, after bishop g7, bishop g2. So when he knows that his opponent is a hardcore King's Indian player, he goes through this move order. So this is a good thing to remember, that 3g3, he plays against people who knows they are hardcore, but if he knows they are Gruenfeld players, he prefers knight c3. Okay, interesting. So bishop g7, g3 will anyway transpose castles, bishop g2, d6, and here Vidit always plays knight to f3. Okay, now main moves, knight bd7, one line we have to cover, knight c6, very active, also we have to cover, c6, another line we have to cover. So these are the three main moves here. We will look at this. I think if we are going for this line, we have to look at these three options that Vidit has faced a lot in the King's Indian fianchetto variation. This is known as the fianchetto system against the King's Indian, right? Okay, that covers King's Indian as well. Then we have to move to d4, d5, which is known as the this is known as the main, one of the main systems. Now he goes here c4. What is the name of this opening, guys? Funny Verma says Arjun Erigasi won Delhi Open. Fantastic. This guy is amazing. He wins everything that he plays. Queen's Gambit, Manjunath, BNVSSGR, Happy Akshat. It's known as Queen's Gambit. Geeked Artist, Chandrabhan Mishra, Hot Pie, Jugal Mehta, Madhav Vyas. Yes, it is known as the Queen's Gambit. So now we have to look at three main openings for Vidit, who faces this. What is this known as, guys? In the chat, quickly. What is this known as? Yes, this is known as the Slav defense. Very good. And what is this known as? This is known as the Queen's Gambit declined. So these are two things, and this is known as the Queen's Gambit accepted. So these three systems we have to face when we are playing against players. I mean, when Vidit has faced this the most. So let's look at his choice against Slav. He has gone 62 games with knight f3. He has also played 10 games with c takes d5. Interesting. I would definitely want to check his exchange Slav games, especially because he has beaten some very good players with it. Firuza as well. And now he chooses bishop f4. This is, I would say, this we would prepare as a side weapon. I remember someone telling me it's very important to start with bishop f4, because if you start with knight c3 here, there is a very interesting line, I believe, which goes e5. Or if you play bishop f4, knight c6, and now not e3 but knight c6, once again this move e5 is very interesting. I think this is the something which we should not get into. So that's why he starts with e3, which is the most common move, knight f6, and now knight c3. So that e5 now problems don't happen because there will be no d4 in the position. So I think this is one system we can definitely look at as our side weapon against the Slav. But for the main line, I think knight f3, correct? Let's go knight f3, knight f6. And now this is where we have another big branching point, and I would like to take your opinion once again. There are two possibilities in this position. One is knight f3. The other one, sorry, knight c3. The other one is e3. Which one do you prefer? And what should we choose? Yeah, here I don't like g3, guys, because then we unnecessarily again fianchetto our system, you know, like e3 is a very solid weapon for sure. No, Amrish Kumar, I understand that e3 blocks the bishop, but knight c3 allows d takes c4. It's kind of, well, in some ways you give up a pawn. Let's see what people want to play. Knight c3 and e3 have kind of equal thing. Maybe knight c3 slightly more than e3. 23 people say knight c3, 17 people say e3. Let's look at knight c3, right? Because maybe more aggressive from that perspective. So even in d4 lines, it might not be the most aggressive lines, but they are interesting to look at. Now, two or three main moves here. One is e6. The other one is, which is known as the semi-Slav, and Vidit always likes to play e3 here. That is his favorite line. And after knight bd7, his favorite move has been kind of the anti-Meran with queen c2. Because if you play bishop d3, these are Meran systems, but queen c2 is the anti-Meran. And after bishop d6, he likes to go bishop d3. That is his main weapon. Okay, this will be some heavy duty theory, I believe. But we will learn. We will learn on the go with it. We will try to do our homework here. So this will be one of the lines. And I think which we will have to see. The other one is d takes c4, which is also an important move. And there he likes to always go a4. Bishop f5 is one of the main lines that he has faced. And also e6 has become quite popular. So these are two moves that we have to look at. Of course, bishop f5 is super critical. And now Vidit likes to play knight e5, not e3. Knight bd7 and knight takes c4. Oh, these are some old lines, yeah, that he's played. Let's see what he's played recently to the Slav. Knight f3, knight f6. Yeah, he's mainly gone for exchange variation here as well. CD. He's played CD against Firuza in this position. Interesting. Knight c3. I used to think that if you develop your knight here, this might not be the best idea to play this. but Vidit has shown that it's possible. A6, and here he likes to play either rook c1, which is played before against Firuza, or knight e5, which he has played recently a lot. And I remember that game versus Durar Bailey, which we saw in the World Cup. It was a very nice one. Manpreet says, can we go c5 after bishop d6? Manpreet, if you go that, then bishop c7 in that position might not be good. सोमान से सर इसमें एक सेमी स्लाव एक्सेलरेटेड ऑर्डर वाली लाइन है जो हर बार मैं गलती से खेल देता हूं. आई डोंट नो एग्जैक्टली हाउ इट कम्स. Somesh, if you can write the moves, that would be good. Funny Verma says, what about ChessBase India tour of Catalan circuit and Sharjah Open? Will it be started? A lot of young players achieved norms. Well, we hope to at some point, but because of the COVID situation, still, I mean, it is something that we will take some care about, but for sure, at some point. Did we see like d4 and f6? Did anyone play Budapest Gambit with it? Never in the. Oh, there are games. E5, 6 games. And because this is something which Samay plays a lot. Bishop f4. Okay, this is with its weapon. G5. Bishop g3, bishop g7, and yeah, I mean, he scored 100% score here. We will look at this maybe very quickly at one of the sidelines, Budapest, and try to find his weapon there. Okay, so g6 is done. We were looking at d4, d5, c4. We finished with kind of Slav business, because I think we are going knight f3. We have a side weapon cd5, but we can also go cd5 here as a side weapon. So this could be a side weapon here, but knight c3 main line. Now e6 and d takes c4. Also a6 sometimes is played against him. We might have to check this a bit. E6, e3. And dc4. Yeah, this is just, I was just cleaning this up. a4, bishop f5, knight e5. Yeah, this is what he plays. And if e6 here, I'm very surprised. Yeah, I mean, e3. What is it? c5. Okay. What's for this? This is pretty interesting. He's played some games with Howell here. Okay, we will look at this. This is typical Queen's Gambit accepted stuff. Okay. Also, if someone plays d4, d5, c4, dc4 against him, this is the Queen's Gambit accepted. Then with it, I think likes to go knight f3. He's played it against many strong players. But also e3. Let's go knight f3. Knight f6. E3. Okay. So he goes for this system. E6. Bishop c4. c5. Castles. a6 or knight c6. Okay. I will have to do some study here as to what to play. But these are again interesting positions to explore here in Queen's Gambit. But essentially against QGA, we go for the E3 setups. Someone said that knight f3 prevents e5. Correct. If you go start with e3, then e5 is a very viable move. Not that it's good or bad or something, it's just possible to play. So that covers d4, d5, Slav and QGA. What about e6? Now, if you look at here, Vidit has knight f3 and knight c3. Both are played. What would you prefer, guys? Knight f3 or knight c3? Yes, it is confusing to prepare this, but we will soon put down everything in nicely in one of the files. Yeah, I always felt like knight c3 is the more principled way to go here. But you can also play knight f3. I mean, I think he would go knight f3 here if he wants to go for the Catalan. That's what I believe. Yeah. 73 games g3. And then you have to learn the entire Catalan with him. So player like Vidit, of course, will have a wide repertoire. But if you go knight c3, then you will have to learn bishop b4, which is the Ragozin, or c5, which is the semi-Tarrasch, or bishop e7, which is QGD. So let's start with knight c3. I think it will make our task easier. Now we have knight f6 as the main move. Also to be not taken lightly is c6. But I think, okay, we can go e3 here, which would then transpose to semi-Slav. If he goes knight f6, then we go knight f3. This is what we are playing. But people can go f5, which goes to stone wall structures. Maybe we can study that later. Knight f6, main move. CD, ED, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, c6, bishop d3, knight bd7, queen c2, and this is what we might look at. Yeah, this is one of the main lines of the opening. I think this is something which should be studied a bit more in depth through Vidit's games. Spandan says, in this system, can we look at semi-Tarrasch? I cannot quite determine where the pieces belong. Yes, but also, like, let's say, for example, where, but where? I think here c5, yeah, Tarrasch. This was played by Magnus against Vidit. I think it happened at Tata Steel, and Vidit kind of managed to beat him. I mean, sorry, draw with him, but was pushing in that game. Okay. So this is definitely something which we may have to take some decision for. Knight of 3, as to how to play. No, I was just wondering if CD5 is important. Should we also try bishop G5, bishop G7, knight F3, castles E3? Maybe this is another way to play. But that time, I mean, these are very old games of Vidit, so we won't maybe touch this. CD looks better. CD, ED, bishop G5, bishop E7, E3, C6, bishop D3, and knight bd7. Yeah, let's look at these lines and then we will study these. Okay, that covers everything, right? What do you think? Guys, have we covered everything? If we have, we can move to our main board here that I have. And then I can paste this here. So this is all our preparation that we have done. And let's say let me save this first. 1 second. Openings according to Vidit, and I would save it here as the introduction. Okay, so this is our intro. And so let's say Vidit main weapon with white is 1d4, right? So first let's look at the lines that we saw. E6, knight c3. We are fine with allowing the Nimzo-Indian. This is the ChessBase app, just ChessBase 16. It's a software. You can get the link to get it in the description for all those who want it. The games that I was seeing of with it was from Mega Database. Now, so I think this is something that we are not touching here. So I'll remove this knight f3 line. So knight c3. This transposes back to queen's gambit declined. Guys, I'm not going to go so deep into every line. I may go, but the main thing is to also show you how to prepare openings. You are learning that and give you a repertoire idea. And maybe you don't like everything that I suggest, but at least you learn. So that's the thing, right? If you learn how to fish, you can never be hungry. If I give you fish, you like it, you don't like it, that's a different thing. Now bishop b4, queen c2. This is the solid approach which will be our main weapon against Nimzo-Indian. F3, this aggressive move has been played by Vidit on several occasions. His most notable victory against Kramnik stems from this line, right? Okay, so this is done. Now g6. Okay, I would write here, we could go Vidit likes to go for this move order against King's Indian players. By the way, one thing we did not look at with Vidit was what is he doing against the Benko or the Benoni. D4, NF6, C4, C5. Yeah, I think he'll go D5 for sure. Oh, he's gone knight f3 on few occasions. And remember, one was against Ratnakaran because Ratnakaran likes to play this line. CD4, knight d4, e5. This is what he likes a lot. So, but okay, c5. Let's go d5. Two moves, b5 and e6. If b5 with it takes always, a6. He has two different approaches. One is e3. The other one is b takes a6. Okay, interesting. Let's try for some side weapon against the Benko. E3. So this would be one that we can study. If we don't like it, we will see later. E6 is the Benoni. Knight c3. ED, CD, D6. Let's see what he plays. He likes to go knight F3 as well as E4 has been his go-to move. G6. And what is this new idea with bishop E3? I've never seen this against Lodici. He played recently. H3, knight F3 played with Adiban. I think he had a better position there. F4 with Pantsulai. And let's look at this interesting line. Yeah, bishop e3. I don't think we've seen it ever Maybe it's something that Vidit has some new ideas. So let's look at this. So with that, let's say, oops, sorry, c6. This is a very solid line against the, I'll add the Benko and Benoni here, against the Fianchetto system. So we are not going into g3, by the way, guys. This is just an additional option. We are playing knight c3. In case c5, d5, b5, cb5, a6, and what did we study here? What do we want to play, guys? Yeah, Hemang, but we will also try to do black repertoire for sure. Jyotinjay, Roshani, Kenny, Manpreet Singh Arora, Dipesh Sokhal, Arjun Balamurli. Yeah, I like this e3 move. Very cool. Very cool. So this is an interesting weapon to look at against the Benko. So c5, d5, e6. If someone plays the Benoni, then we go knight c3, ed, cd, d6, e4, g6, and I think bishop e3. Or first, did he start with h3 or first bishop e3? We started with h3 right here. h3, bishop g7, bishop e3. Castles and knight f3. Maybe this is what we should look at. Yeah, it looks odd. It looks odd. This is something new that he has played. How many times has he played this? I mean, how many times has this happened? Oh, very few times. Very few. Actually, with it, I think he just played it. I think it's a new concept, maybe. But we'll see. Maybe it's just bad. Maybe it's just stupid. And then he just did it for fun. Possible. I mean, rook e8. This looks interesting. 92. But yeah, let's check out this line. Akshay Mohan says in Nimzo, after bishop b4, queen c2, c5, knight f3. But Akshay Mohan, after c5, maybe the main move that Vidit plays is dc5. No, I don't think he would play knight f3 there. So d4, nf6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, queen c2, c5, dc5, Repka. He's played this with Christopher Repka. And then e3, bishop c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop g5, and so on. Yeah, like we'll look at this. Okay, I would say this is something worth looking at, although looks very weird. If it isn't so good, we can go for the main line with knight f3 here. So we can then, if it is not so good, this idea, then we can go for knight f3. And okay, so I think we covered everything, right? g6, knight c3, bishop d5, d5, the Gruenfeld. This is the one of the main lines that we have to check. cd5. This will be the main move. We will also look at this with the idea of going into the Russian system with queen b3. So this is one thing which we should look at. This one, we should study this, but the main move would be cd, knight d5, e4, takes, bishop g7, bishop e3, c5, knight f3, queen a5, queen d2. The start of the main position in the Gruenfeld. Okay, so this is done. And knight c3, if bishop g7, g3, this is with its favorite weapon against King's Indian defense. It's called the, what's it called, guys? What is this called? Continue the bishop e3 line, Utsav. Utsav, we'll look at it separately at some point. No, not the Catalan, not the Catalan. It's known as the fianchetto system, fianchetto variation, hot pie, correct. Sahil Khan, Arjun Balamurli, it's known as the fianchetto system against the King's Indian defense. Okay, g3, bishop g7, g3. Okay. And then we have, this is the key position with main moves being c6, sorry, knight bd7, knight c6, and c6. Okay, done. Looks good. So we built this up. We have some sidelines, d4, d6, d4, g6, d4, e6. I think to e6 we will anyway go c4, which would be the main line. f5 also we should study later. d4, d5, c4, d takes c4. The queen's gambit accepted. And if e3, e5 is there, so knight f3, knight f6, e3 takes, c5, castles. Okay, this is what we might study against the queen's gambit accepted. c6 Slav, cd. So here is the thing. This is our main line, but we also study the exchange Slav, because Vidit has used it successfully in the past. And if knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, here also going for exchange Slav is possible, like Vidit did against Firuza. Knight c3, e6, the Meran, or you can say the semi-Slav, sorry, the semi-Slav, right? And d takes c4, a4, bishop f5, and if e6, then we play this queen's gambit accepted line. If bishop f5, knight e5 is what Vidit has played a lot. Knight c4, this is something we'll have to study. It's a main line. a6 is known as the, by the way, control A opens the box, the Chebanenko Slav. So I don't know what Vidit has played here. We'll study that as well. And after e3, this is known as the semi-Slav. He goes for the, I think it's called the anti-Meran system. And then bishop d6, bishop d3. We'll look at this. Okay. So Slav is done. And if we go to Queen's Gambit decline, knight c3. Okay. If you want to go for the Catalan, you can think of this move order. And knight c3, knight f6, c6, f e3, f5, the stone wall. Sometimes you might face it, but not so much. Knight f6, cd, ed, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3. The main position of Queen's Gambit decline. Now maybe I don't go for this, yeah, like maybe we go for something else, but we will figure out. I think you can also go for some other setups that Vidit plays. That kind of covers everything, right? d4, Arav says, what about d4, d6, c4, e5? Nice. I think Arav, knowing with its style, he would either go for knight f3 here, or maybe there's also an interesting move, knight c3. Let's look at it. d4, d6, c4, e5. Knight f3 is played with Deep Sen Gupta. So this is the direction, but he was very young at that point. Other one, he's always preferred going knight f3 here to avoid e5 lines. I think that's what we can mention here. d4, d6, knight f3 has been with its choice in order to stop e5. Also, you know, King's Indian में अगर transpose हो गया तो we are in good territory. Okay, d4, f5 very quickly. What does he do there? d4, f5, g3 a lot recently. G3 mainly with Carlsen, Firuza, so many players here. d4, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, g6 is there, e6 is also there. So we may have to study a bit of both, but this is the setup that he likes to take. And then he's played b3 here with some players. Okay, we'll check this b3 system. And also there is e6, knight f3, d5, c4 with Firuza. Also he's played this in some battle with Magnus also here. So d4, f5, g3 is what Vidit likes to play. And I think for g6 we could go c4 right now, bishop g7, maybe knight c3, and then it transposes back into King's Indian or some territory. Okay, let's save this. And what else are we looking at? Yeah, if in case anyone wants to look at e4, e5, e4 games for Vidit, we could think of it. He's played 89 games, but we will then study it separately. He's played it, but maybe he's not a hardcore e4 player, but could be something that we can look at some point. Okay. So then I would end this. We have 2 minutes left. I have saved everything here. This I've created a file. So how do I put it? So what I will do is, because we've all done it together, right? So I would go here, right click, output, publish to web, and it creates a direct link here. If you see, this is a direct link that is created, and you can also save it to your computer. So I'm going to add this thing to our description. If anyone wants to download it and save it, download the PGN file discussed in this video. How did you like this idea, guys, of discussing and then building a repertoire? We'll like have a full database with different ideas. Do you like it? Is it useful for you? What do you think? I've added in the description for all those who want to download. Sahil Khan said, or maybe I can also pin it if someone wants to. Yeah, here, put it in the pin message. I think it will be useful. It was nice, says Arav. Thank you. Jatin says include Samai. Well, the main thing is that this is very very raw way of preparing. I mean, if I'm going to include someone else here, I have to come well prepared. But if I do it alone with you guys, then I can build this up and teach you how to do it. So this is something I wanted to do just with you. Kiara Pandey says, thank you. Okay. It's ringing now. I'll stop it. Thank you. Time is up. Keshav Sharma says, Sagar, thank you so much. Sahil says E4 has too much theory and I hate studying theory. Well, you see, guys, of course, we will study theory in all these things, but I will also try to break it down for you, so that you can understand it and you don't have to think, yo, it's theory, it's also tough. And also, I will try to create a small video, which will be just the overview that we discussed here. And we will try to, everything we discuss, I'll try to also create a kind of 5 to 10 minute video, so that later on some people can't go through a 1 hour stream but can look at that. How to add games of other players for reference in a particular variation. Shaival says, Shaival, what does that mean? How to add games of other players for reference in a particular variation? I didn't get the question exactly. Like, you can create a database, you can put the games there, and then you want to create a tree or something? Like adding games of Anand in QGD. You mean other game? No, I thought we'll follow this and maybe we can then later on see if there are some lines where we are not very satisfied with what we've got. It's a very raw process. That's what I'm saying. The idea had been in my mind since a long time, because I really enjoy with its openings and play to do this. But now finally, after a long time, I have managed to start it. So just do support. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a comment after the video. And thank you all for following. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.